Hey everybody, John Skiba here, and in this video I'm going to talk about what a motion is in a debt collection lawsuit. If you've been dealing with the lawsuit for any amount of time, you're going to come across different motions that are filed with the court. I want to talk about just generally what the procedure is for those and an understanding of what they are, because a lack of understanding as to how motion practice works in a court type setting can cost you big. But if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, please click subscribe, check off that little bell, that way you'll be notified each week when I put out a new video that helps you deal with your serious debt problem. All right, let's talk about motion practice. What I see this quite a bit when people are representing themselves in debt collection lawsuits, that there's a misunderstanding of how motions work, what they are, and more importantly, if you need to respond to them. Now, first of all, what a motion is. A motion is a written document. Essentially, it's when you're asking the court to do something, you can draft it up in a written document called a motion that you serve on the court. You're asking the court, you're moving the court to take a certain action. Now, you'll often see this, the plaintiff, the debt buyer, the creditor, they'll often file motions like motions for summary judgment. You may file like a motion to dismiss, to compel arbitration. Essentially, you're just asking the court to do things. Now, generally how it goes in most jurisdictions is you file a motion, or the opposing side files a motion, whoever it is who's filing a motion, they file it with the court, they mail you a copy. Then you have a certain period of time to file a response to that motion. And then after you file your response, then the other party has a certain period of time to file what's called a reply brief to that. So it goes motion, response, reply. After that, the court will then either set the matter for oral argument, where the court may have questions or want the parties to defend their positions, or in most cases, the court will just issue a written ruling that'll be mailed out or emailed out, however your court does it, that has the ruling on it, whether they're going to grant or deny the motion. So where I see people get tripped up on this is a motion gets filed, particularly by the creditor, the junk debt buyer, whatever. They file a motion, like a motion for summary judgment, and you as the consumer, the defendant, don't respond. And I hear a lot of people that don't respond because in the background there's things like court hearings that have been set, or maybe even a trial has been set, and people think to themselves, I don't need to respond to that, I'll just deal with it when we get to the court hearing here in a couple months. The problem with that is, under many jurisdictions' rules, if you fail to respond to a motion, the court can interpret that as your consent that it be granted. So without even knowing it, they're saying you're admitting everything that they're alleging in their motion. So if there's a motion that's pending, you should assume you've got to respond to it. And vice versa. If you file a motion, the junk debt buyer is going to have to assume that they have to file a response to it. Even if there's a court hearing that's set, you should generally plan on filing some type of response to it. Otherwise, you run the risk of having their motion granted, and maybe then your case ends up going away completely, and you didn't even get a chance to go in there before the judge and to defend yourself. So that's just kind of a real brief thing. I'm going to put links down below to a couple resources where you can find the timelines for motion practice. The good places are Google Scholar, that's a great one, as well as the Legal Information Institute. It's a website that's maintained by Cornell Law School, where they put the full text of all of the different rules of civil procedure. That's where you're going to find these rules as far as how many days you have to respond, how many days they have to reply, because it can actually get a little complicated, and you need to make sure you file it timely. For example, in Arizona, if there's a motion for summary judgment filed, you have 30 days to respond to it. If you don't respond to it in 30 days, a lot of times it just gets granted. So that's how vital kind of knowing some of these procedural things can be. The debt buyer's attorneys, they know these rules, and they know that often you don't, and they try to use that against you. So it's important to get yourself brought up to speed on motion practice, how that works, and what you need to do in response. Thanks for watching today.